Are there any of your actions that you would change?
Yes, if I could, I would have not shot him. However, I also am happy that I did, because if I did not, I might be dead now.
What do you feel justifies your shooting of Sheriff Bartram?
I was justified because he was going to kill, he was going to beat to death Graham, and I feel like that justifies enough with that award.
How do you feel going into trial? Are you confident in your attorneys?
I am very confident in my attorneys and the questions we have prepared, and I feel like I will come out innocent.
Thank you.
They're getting ready to take Graham out of the house when all of a sudden Philip appears. He sneaks into the house. Nobody knows. He just appears out of nowhere. He has a rifle in his hand. He's cold and confident. And Bartram realizes, oh no, we got trouble. So, what Bartram just starts reasoning with them. Look, boy, Philip, we're just doing our job. We need to get Graham out of here because he's trying to avoid the war. We are just doing our job. And even with all this reasoning, it's not going to work. Philip just says, no, someone's leaving, and it's going to be you. And he shoots Graham. He shoots the rifle. Bartram's dead, and suddenly tides are changing. So, the main question in this case is, did Philip kill Bartram out of ill will? Prosecution and I, we intend to prove so. We intend to prove that Philip was conscious of his actions, that he entered into the fray with a plan and not with insanity. We have two witnesses, J.B. Merriweather and Nathan Hightower, to provide details on the story. And then we have the physician Richard Pfeiffer to provide an expert opinion on the flu itself. Please find Philip Worthy guilty of premeditated murder.
Philip Worthy is not guilty. He was simply protecting his town and his loved ones. The Second Amendment says we have the right to bear arms. So is it wrong for him to intimidate somebody else with a gun? The sheriff also had a gun, so therefore, he's not wrong. So when you were breaking into everyone's houses, did you even have a warrant?
We are part of the APL. The APL
But did you have a warrant?
APL
yes or no?
has...
Your Honor, can you tell can you tell the witness to answer yes or no to my question? Did you have a warrant?
The APL has...
Did you have a warrant?
No.
Okay. So, all the arrests that you made are now void. So for anything, you should be tried for armoring, breaking, training, and much more. So my only question is, why aren't you being tried?
Place your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
You said you're a German physician, correct? And you're familiar with the flu?
Yes.
So, you were the head chair of hygiene, 1899, in Koisenberg, correct?
Yes.
And what exactly did you do with the Spanish flu there?
I was able to isolate the bacteria from the lungs, and I later called the bacteria bacillus.
Okay, for the jury, can you please state your name and occupation?
My name is Bill Haywood, and I am a former member of the West Federation of Miners and current founder of the Industrial Workers of the World. The anti-war resolution was passed in 1916, basically stating that those that are not willing to enlist do not deserve to be enlisted, and that they have rights to stay home if they are needed home.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Amelia Stone.
Okay. So, if I may ask, how's your pregnancy going? I'm just trying to ask how she is. Like, she's been through a lot. That's kind of insensitive for them to object to me asking how a pregnant lady is doing when her husband was...
Let's move on.
Okay.
And then I just told him why, and I don't even know. And then I saw Philip come through the doorway
didn't even know how he was there. I thought he was at home, and then she just shot the sheriff. I thought he was sick at home, so I don't even know how he was there.
And you were pregnant at the time.
Yes.
Okay, so moving on. Do you know why APL was trying to arrest Graham and many other people?
No, but I think they were getting the men of Commonwealth to fight in the war for them.
So you would say that these arrests weren't a justified act?
They were not a justified act. We were under
Objection to
coercion.
opinions.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, like he had previously stated, good people are just trying to do their jobs. That's what they were intended to do. However, when good people are under a lot of pressure, they tend to do things such as excessively force their way into the house of Graham Stone and try to beat him whether he wanted to come to them to work with the war or not. They had grudges against him. 2 witnesses up there had previously met Graham Stone and did not dislike him because of his views of the war. And Philip Worthy was not trying to protect himself. No. His selfless act of defense was to protect his brother, his main man figure in his almost death. And they are trying to say that he was cold-blooded murder, when Philip Worthy would not be capable of such things in the right mental capacity. He was affected by factors of his childhood, of abandonment, of emotionally disabling things that ate at him every day. He was affected by the flu, whose mental illnesses and headaches and fatigue that should have made him bedridden. He was affected by factors that made this town quarantined for so long and disclosed from all other human life. And furthermore, if so many soldiers were sent out as to say that they were fighting for America's home, fighting for what we believe in, what will they come home to if no workers are to stay here? What is there left if none of the wood is going, none of the mills are working, if no one is here in our labor force? They had no right to try to go into Graham Stone's home and take him forcibly in front of his daughter, in front of his wife who's expecting this newborn child that he is supposed to raise. I ask you, please, to realize that Philip Worthy is not guilty of killing him in cold blood. The only thing he is guilty of is trying to protect this woman right here and his family. Thank you.
Yes. They reacted accordingly and restrained Mr. Stone. Also, remember the testimony of Dr. Pfeiffer? He shared with you the symptoms of the flu, explained why the defendant was in his right mind when shooting Sheriff Bartram. All these testimonies prove to you, beyond reasonable doubt, that the defendant is guilty of second-degree murder. Did Philip Worthy enter Graham's house stealthily? Yes. Did he confront an officer of the law who was restraining a man that displayed violent resistance? Yes. Did he disobey the officer in charge and thus disobeying the law? Yes. This situation is here. In the end, Philip Worthy shot Sheriff Skip Bartram and killed him in cold blood, not because he was defending himself, but because it felt like the right thing to do. And folks, please, this was an officer of the law who was trying to preserve justice. He had enough Philip had enough rational thought, though, afterwards to allow Mr. Merriweather and Mr. Hightower to leave. And he even recovered afterwards, but please do keep in mind that after this situation, he did flee town. For evil to triumph, it is enough that good people do nothing. Good people have done a lot in this case. They have not done nothing. They have done their part. Now the case is about to go to you to do your part. And I ask you this not because of the Great War that occurred at this time or of the Spanish flu, but because there is overwhelming evidence before you that proves Philip to be guilty of killing an officer of the law during an official APL investigation. And please, on behalf of the entire prosecution, we ask you to return a verdict of guilty of second-degree murder. And once again, I thank you for your time and for your attention.
How do you feel coming out of trial?
The trial ended up having a hung jury, 9-2 in favor of guilty. So I think the prosecution did really well. And the defense was also very good at having a pathos argument. And this worked well in front of the jury, so clearly we managed to make it hung. But it worked out well in the end. I think that we were able to get all of our important points across. For example, we were able to prove that Philip was technically not delirious. We were able to also stop the self-defense case because Philip had walked in.